Hey there, my name is Chris Acton with Acton Creative, and this is a Handwoven Experience, episode 114. And in this episode, we're going to talk spacers. So let me set the scene for us. I am sitting at the front of the loom, and I have just finished dressing the loom, so all of my warp yarns here are all tied onto my rod at the front. So I am ready to go. I am ready to weave. However, as you'll notice, each of these groupings of warp yarns are tied to the rod and they're all kind of condensed together, right? They're in these kind of bunches. And for my weaving, I want everything to be equally spread out. So here is where your spacers come into the conversation. Now, like with most things in weaving, there's a lot of ways to do this, my friends. So what I thought I would do is give you some options and show you what I do, and then you can kind of make your own decision. But there's a lot of options here, so stick with me. So let's start with kind of the obvious one. You could just take your shuttle with the yarn that you're going to use and you can just start weaving. That is absolutely fine. However, you're going to have an inch-ish, maybe up to that much space where your warp yarns aren't evenly spread out. So you just factor that into the entire part of your planning, your project, right? So you can absolutely, whatever weft yarn you want to use, you can just start right out of the gates and just go. If that makes the most sense in your head, Godspeed, do that one. However, there are lots of other choices too. First of all, you could use a yarn that you hate the color, you have a lot of. For me, it's usually some variation of pink. I'm sorry for the pink lovers in the audience, but it's my least favorite. This one's not so bad, but I am convinced that I'll probably never ever get through this entire good old cone of yarn. Anyways, you can use another type of yarn that you're not interested in, you don't love, you want to use, whatever. Use that yarn for your spacers just to give you that inch-ish that you need to spread everything apart. You could also use strips of fabric, whatever you got laying around. You could use something like this, a little fatter then, so it's gonna squish nice, and just a couple rows, you will be done and you'll be ready to weave. So something like this is a nice option too. You can reuse something like that too, which is very helpful. For me, I like to use toilet paper. Now, it seems like a very odd choice, I understand. However, hear me out. Here are my reasons for why I love using a little TP. First of all, it's not very expensive. It's certainly a heck of a lot less expensive than using yarn. So I like it for that reason. I also like it because it is perforated, and that helps on the back end. If you imagine when you take your project off the loom, then you have your spacers in here, you have to get them out somehow. So I like the fact that toilet paper is perforated. You can easily pull it apart in the middle. I like all of that. Now, do not use the good stuff, my friends. You want the cheap stuff. You want the Scott's see-through or whatever brand it is. You want the cheap stuff. A number of years ago, one of my fellow weavers in the Weavers Guild had found out that I used toilet paper for my spacers, and she's like, we accidentally bought the wrong kind. Can I bring it to you? I'm like, sure. So it was a package of like 8 or 12 rolls of toilet paper, and I think I've maybe gone through 1.5, maybe. It's gonna take me a while to use all of those rolls of toilet paper. So let me show you what that looks like, at least for me, how I like to put the spacers into the project. So it's just gonna be plain weave. That's gonna be your quickest way to space out all of your yarns, you know, using whatever you want to use. I like to go, this is toilet paper, I think in squares. I like to have about a square extra on each end. So about right there is fine. Depending on how fancy I'm feeling or how big the project is, I usually just kind of wiggle it through with my fingers. Just give it a little, just to kind of thread it through there. You know how that goes. All right, spread it out like that. Bring this up, switch your feet. So that's the first row. Now, I find that it usually takes me maybe 5 rows. That's usually about what it takes me to get them all spread out. Everyone's gonna be a little different, depending on if you're using something that's really fine, if you're using something that's chunkier. That is all gonna kind of factor into how much you need then to start your project. Let's see, this is number 3, and you can already see how they're starting to space out just like that. Okay, let's see, that's 3. Let's see if I can do it in 4. We'll see. Okay, right about there. We'll thread that through. But you see what the toilet paper does then. It just is a nice kind of cushy little pillow, little cloud that you put in there in between your yarns. Oh, I do need one more. Here we go. Here's number 5. And it's quick, easy to use, cheap, all of those things. So I have found over the many years that I've been weaving that this has been kind of the best solution for me. Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, we're ready. See? Okay, now see how we went from our little groupings here all nice and close together, and now they are evenly spread apart. So at this point, I'm going to come in with the yarn, the weft yarn that I want to use for my project, and I will take it from there. So that is my little 2 cents on spacers. Like I said, there's lots of options, my friend, and none of the options are wrong. It is just a matter of reaching the goal, which is to get your warp yarns from all bunched up close together to spread apart evenly so you are ready to just fly like the wind. Just start tossing that shuttle and weaving your project. So you let me know what you like. If you do something other than toilet paper, let me know what is your preference and why you like that method, because I'm always curious to hear what everybody else is doing. All right, that does it for today. Hope that gave you a little something to chew on. Have a wonderful week, my friends, and happy weaving.